So you've hit 2 great shots, just landed short of the green. Now, you're feeling it because you know you should get this up and down, but how often do you get up to the shot, you're feeling a little bit nervous, and you duff it? And you spoil a round of golf if you keep doing this. Well, this was a situation for a recent student of mine, Andy. Tee the green, he was doing really, really well, but when he missed the green, he didn't know what was going to happen. One minute he would hit it pretty good, but the next minute he would either thin it over the back of the green or fluff it. And the reason being, he had a technique that was reliant too much on his hands and his arms. One minute he would take the club inside here, next minute he'd take it here, one he'd strike it well, the next minute he'd strike it fat. I needed to give him something, a technique that was more repeatable, right? So he didn't have to get nervous over these shots. By the time we finished the session, he was striking it so much better and so much more consistently. I'm going to share with you exactly what we did because I know it could help you too. Now, before I do, look, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Just press that little bell button, next subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a video just like this one. Plus, look, I'll put a free practice plan in the description box below so you'll never have to remember a thing. Great, so if you find yourself a little bit inconsistent around the greens, do me a favor, just pause the video, go and grab, I've got a 56-degree wedge here, go and grab a 56-degree wedge so you can do this with me live. So hopefully you pause the video and now you're ready to go. Now, the first thing I want you to do is with Andy, as I said, he was too much reliant on his hands and his arms. And the problem is, if one day you've got your hands doing this, well, that's gonna get the club attacking that way. And then the next day it comes in here, that's gonna get the club attacking a different way. It's too inconsistent. I want you to have what's called a bottom to top swing. So watch this. We won't go swing the club yet. I want you to imagine that the whole swing is created from the ground. So imagine this. You're stood on the lid of a container, now fairly narrow stance, look like this, okay? You're stood on the lid of a container, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna screw that lid. And as you screw the lid, it starts from the bottom, your knees move, your hips move, your tummy moves, your shoulders move, and look, your arms follow. So therefore, look, the club is going to follow this motion, yeah? Therefore, it's more consistent. If I were reliant on my arms, well, I could move it here, move it here. I don't want to do that. I want my body to put the club into a position, almost like spiraling a spring, yeah? So I'm turning the lid backwards and forwards here with my feet, and my arms simply follow, yeah? Now, what do you think is going to happen on the way down? That's right, it's a bottom to top swing. So I start at the bottom, I'm going to unscrew the lid back, and what happens? My knees move back, my hips move back, my chest moves back. That brings the club back into impact here, and it's so much more repeatable, so much more repeatable. So how do you go about learning this? Well, I like to do this first of all with a simple exercise, which I actually took from Pete Cowan, where you need some structure in your arms. So the hardest thing about this is stopping those arms moving all over the place. So what I want you to do is push your arms down like this, okay? And what I want you to do from here is this. Keep that structure, start from the bottom, just get a rhythm with this. Twisting that lid backwards and forwards so you can feel the knees. Then, as we do this, watch this. The arms always stay inside that structure, going backwards and forwards. They're not doing this, not moving them back inside. They're literally following this structure. I'm turning the lid back, my arms go back on this line, and then they go through. So once you've done that a few times, hopefully you're doing this live now so you can really feel this with me. Once you've done that a few times, then what I want you to do is take your trail arm here, just attach it to your body, and then all we're going to do now is imagine the same thing. We're going to get a rhythm with this, turn the lid backwards and forwards until you get a rhythm, and then look, start to let that rhythm move the arm up to the top. Look at how repeatable it is. Yeah, now we hit a few shots just with one arm, doing exactly the same thing. Backwards and forwards, pretty good start. Okay, and this now becomes so much more consistent because what you're doing is just simply following whatever you do from the bottom. Now, you might be right-handed player but playing golf left-handed, so simply just switch to your left hand. Now, I'm not left-handed, but this is again a really good education for someone like myself. So I do the same thing again. Look, start at the bottom. I'm turning the lid backwards and forwards. I'm not letting this arm go all over the place. I've got some structure in this arm here. Look, some structure. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forward. Let's see how we get on with this. Not as good, not as good. So again, a little bit, I need a bit more feel with this. I dragged that a little bit. It's not a problem though. Strike was okay, yeah? So I would literally work on this so I could get some feel in my lead arm. And then what I do is I start to join those arms together. Now stay tuned for a second because I've got a wonderful little drill you can do with an alignment stick which will really add to this. But just for now, what we'll do is again, we imagine we're stood on this lid. We form the structure here in our arms. We're not allowing this to happen. We're starting from the bottom. We get ourselves set again. I'm going to get a rhythm with this. I'm going to turn the lid backwards and forwards, keeping that structure. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to literally allow that to continue, bring my arms up into position here, and then turn the lid back down on the way through. Let's have a look at this. Pretty good, a little bit long. Strike's good though, yeah? A little bit rusty in lockdown, have to lock down. But the strike is perfect. The coming down into the back of the golf ball now is absolutely spot on each and every single time. Let's have another look at this. So then just turning the lid backwards and forwards, look, keeping that structure in those arms, not allowing them to disappear. The temptation for most people is this, to move the club away with their arm. Don't allow that to happen. I've often got my biceps just connected to my chest, that's the structure. Turn the lid backwards and forwards, and I'm going to introduce you to a really cool little drill which will really help this. There we go. Nice little shot. Right, now, what we gave Andy was a little bit of a guide. This is fantastic. So what I want you to do is get yourself an alignment stick and simply bend this alignment stick like this, okay? So you're creating just a half moon. Now I didn't come up with this. This is something I actually got from a wonderful pro in Dubai called Stephen Dean. Great coach. And what this does is it just gives you kind of, make sure I line up to the hole, might help. It just gives you a guide. So most people, if you take it back with your hands, you're going to hit this. Also, if you take it outside the line and come across, you're going to hit it here. So what I do is you do exactly the same principle. You're turning the lid backwards and forwards, but as you're doing this, look, you've got a guide now. And if I use my hands, I'm going to hit this. So I get myself set, turn the lid, and there we go. We've got a lovely coordinated approach with a wonderful guide, so that when you're out practicing on the driving range or you're out in your garden, just use this as a wonderful guide to help you with this turning the lid back and turning it through. Now I'm using 56-degree wedge. What I'll do is I've got, if you want to know about ball positions and how to play different lies, I'll put 2 videos up into this top right hand corner here and bottom left here. Go and check them out. But let's just summarize just for a second. So important to get some repeatability in your short game action. If you're relying on what I call a top-down swing, which is using your hands first, you can make it work, but it is super inconsistent. What you want to be able to do is put the club into position by using the entire body with a bottom to top motion. Imagine you stood on a lid, start to screw the lid, twist the lid, let that bring the body and the club around. On the way down, don't be anxious to bring it down. Bring it down again here. Someone like myself, sometimes you get a bit slidey. If I twist the lid here and then slide, that's going to bring the club into the wrong position, isn't it? We're going to be in trouble. So all these things can really help. The other advantage here is when you are stood in this position here and you're screwing the lid, you're naturally staying centered. So the chances of you coming down on top of this golf ball now really increase. So I really hope that helps. If you did, give the video a bit of a thumbs up. Maybe share it with somebody who you know who's struggling with their short game, and really give this a go. Let's see if we can finish with a good one. Go on. Oh, not bad. Have you enjoyed the video? Like I say, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. But until next week, have a great golfing week.